Hey guys, so I have already tried to make this video once, and this will be my second attempt at it, just because I felt like the first one wasn't as in-depth, and I wanted to know if there was any questions. So I did put out a questionnaire on my Instagram, just asking like what you guys wanted to know in regards to my sexual assault. So this is just a quick trigger warning, trigger. And yeah, I'll get right into it. So I'll just give you like a backstory. So when I was younger, my parents split when I was about 3, and my mum got with my dad's best friend, and he became my dad because he's always like a part of my family and stuff like that. And yeah, I just kind of got to know him as my dad. Like I knew I had another dad, but he was my dad as well. And from the ages of about 4 to about 10, he molested me. So he would come into the room at night with a torch and I guess play with me sexually. There's a lot of things that I don't remember. I don't remember if he did rape me. I do remember him like getting his parts out and putting them on me, but I think my brain has kind of suppressed a lot of that. And yeah, so when my brothers were born, we all shared a bed because we weren't that well off financially. So we all shared a room, we all shared a double bed, and we used to sleep diagonally. I didn't tell anyone purely because I thought he would kill me. 2, he used to be like, oh, you won't get this toy if you don't let me do this to you, or if you tell your mum I won't buy you those Tweety shoes that you really wanted, or I won't buy you that Barbie. And like being really poor, like to get a toy, like I would sometimes, like I would only get like one present for my birthday. So it was like a big thing for me. And even though I couldn't fully understand like money and all of that, I knew that if I had told someone, that we'd be even worse off financially. And he was a crane driver, so he brought in a lot of the money if he wasn't using it on drugs or alcohol. My mum worked full-time at Centrelink, and she also was playing netball a lot, and he also used to bash her. And so I just didn't want to, I guess, put what was happening to me onto other people. So I'm gonna sneeze. I didn't want to put my drama onto anyone because I felt like I could kind of deal with it. So yeah, the other day I posted something about it, and a lovely lady sent me some questions, and she was like, I hope that I'm not being too overbearing by asking these questions. And I honestly am so open with everything that I talk about, and I just found it so therapeutic as well to kind of just like tell everything. So I thought I would do a video because it seemed to help her, and other videos that I have done seem to have really like touched others mentally, and really got them to kind of question what has happened to them and how they go about dealing with their sexual trauma. And all right, so she also asked, do I blame my mum for not noticing or allowing blah blah blah. I never once, like there was so much going on in that household. There was a lot of abuse of drugs, there was always friends around drinking, a lot of abuse of alcohol. There was one time where me and my brother had to jump on my stepdad's back to stop him from stabbing my mum. So I think like there was so much going on in the house, like to notice. And she also played netball Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sat on the weekends, so she was out a lot, and so that's when majority of the abuse for me would happen. My brothers were far too young to ever say anything or really understand what was going on. Like for me, like I was so young, like I didn't know what was going on. Like he made me feel like I had to do that and that it became normal. But like obviously and like he would tell me not to say anything, and I'd be like, oh, he's gonna kill me if I say anything. So there was just so many different things that I just didn't want to, I didn't want to be a burden. And I think like that really kind of went into my teenage life, is that like I was always so sad, and I always like allowed things to happen to me or put myself in bad situations because of how my trauma from my young age, which sucks, like growing up and falling in love with yourself and really realizing like all the things that I could have done if it didn't happen, or if I had kind of come out sooner about it. So some of the other questions that I got were, when you spoke out about your assault, did people question, not believe you at first? So with that situation, everyone believed me because it was like obviously like my 15-year-old boyfriend didn't. He was like, no, like if that had happened to you, like you surely would have come out about it and gone to the police. But he did come from a very like loving, beautiful family. And I think it's very hard to kind of wrap your head around it. And I think back in those times, back in the day, people really didn't talk about that stuff. It was very taboo. And I think it still is today, but I think like I'm just trying to make a fucking difference in the world. I was molested again at age 19 by said dad's friend. As I said, we were not very financially wealthy, so we lived in a 3-bedroom house, and I was like 18, 19, still sharing a bedroom with my 2 brothers, and then we had a guy called Brad live in the spare room and obviously help out with rent. And one night I came home and my mum wasn't at home, so I slept in her bed and I woke up in his room to him molesting me. And that time I did go to the police, and like forensics came, and you know, I went over my statement like 50 million times, and I ended up having to go to court, and then they dropped the case against him because of I was a bikini model, and they said that there was too much evidence. There was not enough evidence against him. They said that like he said that he did my washing, so that's why his DNA was on my underwear, and just all of this kind of stuff. And then I used to get my dad's girlfriend come around and yell out the front of our house like, she's lying, she's just trying to ruin his life. And I was like, do you know that your partner did the same thing? But again, I couldn't say anything because I hadn't told my brothers yet, and so I just copped it all. Next question. When you think about the past, how do you feel? How do you overcome the emotions that are brought up, if so? Sometimes it's really triggering. Like when I came out about it all, I was an outpatient at Perth Clinic. I moved to Perth and I was an outpatient at Perth Clinic, psychology and psychiatry, and I was also going to a counsellor at my local GP. And then I was like on Lexapro and lorazepam, super high doses, and I kind of like, I worked on a lot of my trauma then, but I don't think it really helped. And I think it took me till I was about 22 to really kind of deal with what happened. Like I was going in and out of the mental health system, and nothing was really getting anywhere. I was kind of just numbing myself. And then I like turned 18 and I just like did a lot of drugs, and I drank a lot of alcohol, and I kind of just numbed myself until I was even like, so I was so depressed. And then I was like, you know what? I need to change the way I think. I need to change the way I do things, because I'm just in this like revolving fucking circle of like meeting a boy that's shit, and then just like him fucking me over, and then like it was just like this dumb circle where I was just allowing myself to get hurt consistently because I wasn't looking after myself, and the mental health system wasn't working for me. And then I fell pregnant and I moved to Perth, and it wasn't until she was about 1.5 and I found spirituality and tantra and really kind of sat with my traumas instead of trying to get over them or take medication. It was like, or do CBT. It was like I really sat with them, and I did express and release and trauma healing and all of this kind of things that really, really got me to a better place, and fell in love with myself. And I get a lot of people message me like, how do you deal with your sexual assault trauma? Like, you know, like I've done psychology, I've done this, I've done that, but it's still not helping. And I think like the one thing is like really finding that space where you learn to love your body, because sexual trauma comes so much from the body that like you can take all of these mind drugs, but really it's like for women, you need to love your fucking vagina. Like you need to love your yoni, and you need to look at it, and you need to fall in love with it. You need to know how to make love with it to like by yourself before like you're ever going to be able to get past that kind of sexual trauma. And I think like that's like such a big one for me. And I mean, it might not work for everyone, but it worked for me. Like I really kind of did all these like goddess circles and met all these amazing women, and learned to reparent myself, and learned about like the masculine and the feminine inside myself, and went to like trauma healing, like or like Reiki classes and stuff like that, and really kind of learned what parts of my body needed healing the most in my chakras. And it might sound blah la di da to some people, but to me, I don't know where I'd be without it. I wouldn't be this person. I wouldn't be in love with myself. I wouldn't love my mind and my body and my spirit, and love everyone around me, and take everything as a lesson rather than a burden. And I think that that can be such a thing with trauma victims, as we can see ourselves as a victim, and we can almost put our shitty behavior on being assaulted. It's like, oh well, this happened to me so I can be a shit human. And it's like, no, like we are the people that can change the world. We are the people that can really go, yes, this happened to me, but now I can share my story. Now I can learn how to better other people. Now I can really talk about this trauma and make people aware that it fucking happens to too many people. And once you get that conversation going, even if you don't believe what I'm saying, I'm planting that seed. And that seed will then, it could sit in the ground in your brain for like a year before it goes sprouting. Like, oh, I get what she's talking about. I can understand why she means like that stuff about spirituality. Like, I think that's what's so powerful with talking out about these things, is that it can really affect anyone. And like the last time that I came out and spoke about my sexual assault when I was 19, I reckon like 90% of people that replied were men, saying that they had had somewhat of a sexual assault experience, like when they were children, or you know, in their early adulthood. And I just think that that's so beautiful, that I can be a space where people can trust in me and come to me when they like, I don't know, like just trust in me. I think that's beautiful. What do you do to help the healing process, and ways to not let it affect your future relationships? So the way that I see trauma is, imagine if you got a big mirror and you smashed it, right? Or a glass, or anything of that kind of thing. Like, you can pick up the big parts, but there's always going to be those tiny little splinters. And that's how I see trauma. You can really pick up the big parts and work on those big parts. But at the end of the day, there's going to be those tiny little bits of glass that you can't pick up or you can't see that will come up and get stabbed in your foot when you least expect it. And I think that with trauma, like, I'm not going to say I'm completely over my trauma. I'm not going to say I'm completely healed, because I don't think I ever will be. There will be, stop. There will be those times where I least expect it and I'll be triggered. But I think that's all about learning. And again, like, I see the world as like one big lesson, like whether it's bad or good, like what can I learn from this? What is the universe trying to teach me? And I think that's the beauty of it, is that I see my trauma as a, like, I'm constantly learning about myself and what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And like, even in my job as a stripper, like learning my boundaries and like what I am comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with. And it's like, it's such a big learning process. And I don't think it'll ever not affect my relationships. I still have massive problems with abandonment. I have fear of mostly fear of abandonment and fear of rejection. And I do see that come up a lot for me in my relationships. And it's something that I'm constantly working on, but I mean, you can't work on something if you're not in it either. And I haven't been in a relationship in over a year. So it's a hard one. Like, it's like a constant thing. Like, I took a year of celibacy like a few years ago, and I was like, that's when I really like learned about my body and what turns me on, what part of my vagina like I get off on. And I'm constantly learning. Like, I've only just bought like a vibrator like 6 months ago, and that was a fucking, you know, like, it's like constant learning. So I'm not sure what I can say to like not let it affect your relationship. And also, every relationship is different. Like, I've been in a relationship where I've been so trustworthy and like all of this, I've never feared he'd abandon me. And then the next one, I had constant fears of him leaving me. So it's like, it's always, you're going to get yourself into these different relationships. And every relationship, whether it's not even romantic, whether it's a friendship, whether it's someone you meet at the coffee shop and you're just saying hello to, they're all relationships that you learn from. And it's learning to analyze that lesson. And I think that's what I've learned to help my relationships and not let it affect it, is learning to analyze what's coming up for me, what's triggering me, where is it based from, what trauma is that associated with, and really kind of evaluating my situations rather than letting me project or reflect. Like, instead of projecting, I'm reflecting on that kind of situation. You feel shame when it happened? Of course I felt shame. I felt fucking disgusting. And I hated my vagina. I was like, I'm never gonna have kids because I never want anyone to have sex with me, because I never want anyone to see my vagina. Like, I still, until I started stripping in November, I hated my vagina. I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was ugly. And starting stripping, man, seeing everyone's vaginas, I'm just like, wow. Every single person is so different. And the amount of people I get like, oh my God, you have the most beautiful vagina. You have the most stunning vagina. You taste delicious. Like, you know, like hearing those things when you thought you were disgusting, like, is so fucking beautiful. Like, so, I felt shame. I no longer feel shame. I think my body's fucking, was I scared about what my mum would say? Of course. Like, my mum was my mum still is my absolute rock. She is my soulmate. Like, me and her have been through many lifetimes together. So, and she's such a sensitive woman. So I was really scared I would break her, and I kind of did. I did for like a good 5 years. I reckon she was broken. I think she's still a little bit broken. Sorry, Mum. I mean, but we're all broken. Broken is beautiful. Someone said, if I told my family, how did you do it? Obviously, I said before, I didn't tell my brothers for a very long time. Didn't tell my mum for a very long time. That's a very daunting part of it. I think the thing with me and my brothers, like, we're all very open, and my family, we're all very open, but he's a shit human. So he continues to fuck up, like, a lot. So there was a lot of times where I felt like, fuck, I'm just going to tell them. But I wanted to do it in person. So they live in Darwin and I live here. So I kind of had to find the right time to tell them. And I kind of just blurted it out. I was like, I need to tell you something about your dad. And then they were like, oh, fuck. And then I told them, they were like, my middle brother was like, I knew it. And then, like, he was just like, he's a monster. Like, I hope he dies soon. And then my younger brother was like, yeah, I knew it. Like, I knew I, like, had those visions. But, yeah. So, to conclude, I am doing amazing. And it's all because I've really fucking worked on myself. And I'm 29 now, and I am a mum, and I'm raising an amazing daughter, and I've got to look out for her as well. So I really stepped back and took the time to kind of do these tantric workshops and these self workshops and these goddess workshops and find myself, because I felt lost. And one big thing as well was I did a big re-parenting meditation at this workshop, and it's probably the greatest thing, like being my own parent and coming from a place of like absolute unconditional love for myself and my brain, and knowing that whatever happens in life, I'm going to learn and I'm going to take on and I'm going to do the best. And I would never, as fucked up as this sounds to maybe a lot of people, I wouldn't take back if I had to, you know, do it all over. Like, I wouldn't want to, but I don't regret. It's hard to put into words, but I wouldn't change my life, because during the daytime when I was with my brothers, like, we would go on our bikes and we would go exploring, and I'd have so much fun with the friends I had in primary school. I had such a beautiful childhood, and I was very scared and I was very sad, but I had such a great childhood, and I wouldn't change my trauma, because I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have been able to fall in love with myself. I wouldn't have been able to really get to that point of, I hate myself, I hate my body. Like, I had multiple eating disorders. I tried to kill myself like 2 or 3 times as a teenager, from bullying. And to turn around and change that all and fall in love with myself and fall in love with my brain and be so happy by myself and be an amazing parent and really just love every inch of my weird, crazy, loud self. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't sexually assaulted. I wouldn't. And that's fucked up. It's fucking insane. But I wouldn't be able to help people. I wouldn't be able to share my story. I wouldn't be able to be there for so many people. I wouldn't be able to be as empathetic. I wouldn't be able to be as caring. I wouldn't be able to have the outlook that I have on life without that happening to me. And I'm just so fucking proud of myself. And yeah, I love my mum and my brothers, and I love my fucking friends, and I love that I am at a place where I can share and spread awareness for sexual assault victims and make you feel like you're not alone. And it fucking sucks, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But I am a light, and I have a platform where I can share this information and I can share my trauma and know that you can seriously turn your life around, and you can have a great mind, and you can be in love with yourself. And I hope that I hope that you're okay, and I really, really hope that you can find your love for yourself. And I will put some names down for some people that helped me, but really, like, I honestly think there's like if you're in Perth, there's like a men's tent that do all men can go there and like just talk and share their stories like once a week. I'm not sure where it is. And then for women, I did like a goddess circle with two of like my really great friends, but they don't do them anymore. But I suggest looking up like the Shakti Society on Facebook, and it's they have like all different kind of things all around Australia, all around the world, of different spiritual events that are going on. And yeah, it's a great group to share your spiritual journey, and it's not all about you. And I am still on Prestige. Like, I'm still on mental health meds, antidepressants. I take mirtazapine to sleep. So, you know, like, I'm not saying that the mental health system doesn't work, and I'm not saying that medication doesn't work, because I still need it every day, but I now feel like I can get completely off them. It's just the withdrawal symptoms that I'm dealing with. But for me, spirituality changed my life. For me, learning those techniques on express and release, and tantric dance, for me, like learning how to move certain energy around my body, that worked for me. Learning how to fall in love with myself through spirituality worked for me. So it might not work for you, but I mean, if you've tried everything and you really, really want something, and you want a community, I suggest it. Give it a go. Otherwise, you can also reach out to me. I feel like it's really, really good to kind of talk to people who have been through the same thing, and just rant, because I'm good at that. I can't tell. It's been like 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna go, but again, if you have any questions, hit me up. I'm sending lots and lots of love, lots of light into your life, and I hope you are surrounded by absolute blissful moments. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. Wow. Say bye.